Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's daily live stream.
Retrospective and review stream, that is.
We'd like to start off with a cautionary tale of shortcuts.
And the reason why we want to talk about shortcuts and just how dire they can be is because today we're going to share with you the anatomy of the modern marketing homepage. And a modern marketing homepage is a complicated thing. It's got dozens of required elements, and if you get overwhelmed, you might decide you want to take a shortcut and not do all the important things that you should do when creating a modern marketing homepage. But Austin, what could possibly go wrong if we take a shortcut?
Well, let's go back to the 1840s and chat about the Oregon Trail for a second. There was a small shortcut in the Oregon Trail called the Hastings Path, about 300 miles shaved off the journey, and if you didn't know back then, that's 20 days. That's a pretty significant amount. Wouldn't you like an extra 20 days in a year?
I'd love an extra 20 days in a year, especially when I'm already behind schedule and need to save time and get caught up and get back on track. And that's exactly what the adventurers that we're describing felt like they needed to do because they were late.
Exactly, but there's one thing that you guys should know about. If you have ever gone bushwhacking, it is significantly harder than traveling on a set route. For beginners, not only are you hiking through brush and undergrowth, you also don't know where the best places to go are for getting over obstacles, or for should you go straight up the mountain or zigzag around it. So many unknowns that you don't know.
And those issues are only amplified when you're the very first wagon to ever go over a path and having to cut out and create space for that entire wagon. And to add insult to injury, the Hastings Cutoff also required that you go across the Great Salt Lake Basin, which included 90 miles of waterless desert where your animals would die of dehydration.
Sounds pretty appealing to me.
Yeah. You know, that wasn't even the worst of it, though, because pretty soon, late in the season, they got to the Sierra Nevada mountains.
And when they made it to the Sierra Nevada mountains, as they are going through a pass, snow struck, and they found themselves without food, trapped in the pass.
Yep, and so instead of making it to their final destination, they suffered a catastrophic event leading to nearly the entire company dying. And it only gets worse than that, because as they tried to survive, they resorted to what, Austin?
Cannibalism.
Okay, now, I'm just going to take a pause here and ask our audience here, what do you think about shortcuts now? Do you want to take shortcuts along your journey? Go ahead and let us know in the chat your thoughts on shortcuts. Now, while we wait for your responses there in the chat, I do want you to know that we are not suggesting that if you fail to follow all of the must-have elements of a modern marketing website, you will end up dying and maybe even becoming subject to cannibalism. But what we do think is that you might just find your business failing. You might just be the death knell you poke into the side of your business if you take shortcuts when it comes to important things like your marketing website. Austin, any thoughts that you want to add, or any conversation you want to follow up on with our audience before we get into that must-have marketing website checklist?
Well, I would just like our audience to expound on their answer, yes and no. Are you saying you want to eat your fellow humans in order to take a path?
We better be careful. We're crossing the boundary very closely here with this family-oriented show.
Anyway.
Okay, so why yes and no? Why yes, why no? Go ahead and share with us. And now, without further ado, we're going to get on to the modern marketing website. And the thing that we want you to understand about a modern marketing website is that there are at least three things that website should be helping you achieve. Number one, its key and most important element is to help you guide your customer through their journey, through the journey to becoming your customer. So I should say the prospect. So that's number one. Number two is to maximize conversion rates, because when you maximize conversion rates, you reduce your customer acquisition costs. And we all know that the only way Mr. Wonderful's ever going to invest in your business on Shark Tank is if you lower your customer acquisition cost. Third, the modern marketing website or homepage helps you maximize the benefits of SEO and attract people to your website. Because if nobody comes to your website, or you don't lead them on the customer conversion journey and therefore don't get any new customers, your business will fail and you will have to close it. Taking a pause here. There's always a different reason, and so you can go either way depending on the situation. Yes. Okay, so let's start talking about the elements.
Well, I would actually like to pause and look at that comment for a second. If we think about it, there are some situations where it's alright to take shortcuts, but that's not because they're shortcuts, they actually supplement your growth. For example, the agile mindset is all about preparing stuff when it's needed and not waterfalling into stuff, because in the long run it is better to prepare as needed and not work on this big huge project just to have it explode in your face.
Okay, the question is that a shortcut or is that a just in time?
Unsure.
Okay, let's get to our modern marketing website and the elements thereof. So this is going to an overview. This is going to be part one of a series that might last over the next week or two, where we're going to walk you through in detail all the elements of a modern marketing homepage and go into the details of what each of them consists of. In fact, we've already covered the first two in previous live streams. But let's take a step back today and get an overview and understand what the anatomy of the modern marketing homepage is. So, the very first thing you need is a hero, and we've talked about the hero before. The hero encapsulates four things. First of all, your promise, written as a headline. This is what you commit to do for your customer. The story that your customer is going through. You want to tell your customer what their story is and how you fit into their story and how you're going to help them. And then we need the calls to action. Because if we don't invite them into the story, if we don't invite them to pick up the book and read it, they're not going to. And we always have to have two calls to action. The primary, which is basically a proposal to get hitched, and the transitionary, which is, hey, you want to go out on a date with me type stuff. Okay, and then the fourth thing that's part of our hero, and ideally we have all of this above the fold and not the hold, are the core benefits, the top three things that your customer or your prospect will get from working with you. Now, what comes after that, those hero elements that we've already talked about? Well, the very next thing is the core offerings. And these are the products or services that you provide to your customers. And you want to list the key elements of those services or products, and you want to include not just pictures, not just a headline, but a fair amount of descriptive text, because this is going to help with your search engine optimization. Next, it's always helpful to have video, a little explainer video explaining your service, your products, and why they want to do business with you, because let's face it, we live in the era of video. Now, I'm talking a whole bunch, and I want to just see, Austin, have you got anything to say at this point?
Not really. This was your project, and you're thrusting me in here, I guess. You know, one of the things I thought was interesting was actually the fact that they want a video in your homepage, and I think that's probably a more modern add-on. What do you think, Dad?
Yeah, video has been gaining popularity for several years and is becoming more and more important because we're, as a people, been kind of conditioned to video over the past few years. So the next thing we have are representations of our customer personas, logos of people that your prospects know that you've done work for that might help them say, yeah, I fit in that group. I'm one of those people. Then we get our testimonials and trust signals. This is where somebody says, hey, these guys are really good. This is what they did great for me. And other trust signals, things like certifications or statistics, things of that nature.
Now, it would be nice if we could get Michael Phelps to be our trust signal.
Okay. Do you want to expound on that?
Oh, I'm just taking from where we don't have the book down here, but 7 Habits of Highly Effective People have many prominent trust signals, including people from PepsiCo, Michael Phelps, who is an Olympic athlete, and Dave Ramsey, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's we should get back into that when we talk in detail about testimonials and trust signals, because not all testimonials are created equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next we have SEO content, and what this is all about. This is the section of your page that's going to change all the time, and that's important because that keeps search engines like Google engaged. And then we have our call to action and contact follow-up. So this is where we're going to give people another call to action and give them an ability through a contact form to reach out to us. Finally, we get into our geography and location data. We call this NAB, name, address, or NAP. This is where we take a nap. Name, address, and phone data. Make sure that that can be seen so that the search engines can redirect us towards it. So, going on from here then, a couple of other things we'll just point out is you need to make sure it's mobile first, and you need to make sure it's fast and secure. And those are the elements of a modern marketing website. This is actually adapted from the Duct Tape marketing team. Trisha and I are both members of the Duct Tape Marketing Consultant Network, and actually I should say certified Duct Tape Marketing Network consultants. And this is one of those resources that we have access to that I think does a really good job in explaining the important elements of a modern marketing homepage. So again, our invitation to you would be, don't take a shortcut, fill out a full homepage, and if you want to see more about what that looks like and how to do it, tune into the upcoming episodes that we'll be having over the coming week and a half, 2 weeks. So from there, Austin, I think we want to turn to retrospective, and there's probably 2 things we want to talk about in retrospective. Take us away.
The 2 things that we really want to talk about in retrospective are, first, what are we doing about the live streams? Because as you noticed this past week, we have kind of disappeared.
Vacation was good, though. We had a good holiday. Didn't we, T? T, did we have a good holiday?
Mm-hmm.
Answer in the chat. It's funny because I'm speaking to the chat when I should be speaking to you out there on the screen. But I'm speaking to the chat. Okay. Going to get that corrected. But we had a good holiday weekend.
Yes, we definitely did. We recognized that one of our problems was that we are doing it too late in the day and we're getting distracted by life. And the other problem is there are some points where it would be wise to do a prep video and just record our conversation as opposed to live streaming it if we don't know we aren't going to have the time.
So as a result, I think, Austin, you're saying we're going to go back to 5:45 a.m. bright and early and get up and get our streams in before things get crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, what you're saying is, given, for example, I'm going to be gone next week in the high Uintas where the streamings don't stream, we want to pre-record our streams so that they can be scheduled and distributed. So,
Yep.
okay. T says, yes, we did. It was fun. It was. We had a good time. Okay. Austin, that's all I got. Do you have anything else today?
I do not.
Okay. Well, on that note, then, we will see you tomorrow morning, 6:45 a.m.
5:45.
Oh, 5:45 a.m. Mountain Time. Our focus will be on the core offerings aspect of the Modern Marketing website homepage, and we're probably not going to do any planning because we're carrying forward with the plan we had related to our homepage activities. So we'll just blow through that and move forward. Hey, we're grateful to all those who are with us. We see Tanika here, and it says that somebody else is online with us, but they haven't chatted, so we don't know who they are. If you're not T and you are with us, go ahead and say hello in the chat so that we know who you are and can understand what we can do better to help you and serve you in the future. And in the meantime, I'm going to check out and call it a day. Adios.